Hello, in this video I will show you how to transform your dataset from Arbodat to make it possible to publish them on Pangea. Pangea is an online data publisher. You can find them at www.pangea.de, and I can show you here when you search for Arbodat, there are some Arbodat projects in Pangea. To make it possible to add your dataset in Pangea, you have to transform them, and therefore we developed this small web app called APE, and you find it under any car. Transforming is necessary because the structure of Pangea is different to the structure from Arbodat. There are defined parameters we have to use to publish the data in Pangea. Everything has to be in English, and some metadata is missing in Arbodat. When you use APE to transform your Arbodat datasets to make it possible to publish them in Pangea, then the easiest way is to use it from left to right. So research project, Arbodat project, all the stuff is something you need to fill in, put your data in, and then you get new datasets back, which you can publish on Pangea. In the end, we have an error log that shows if there are errors during the transformations, like when you use a P code that is not in the official P code list, then there will be an error. And we have an FAQ where we collect all the questions we get, so that maybe it's a little bit easier in some cases to look at first in the FAQ when you have questions. So the first thing we have to do is we need a research project. So the problem is the research project in Pangea is not the same as the research project in Arbodat. The research project in Pangea is the funding, for example, or it could be an archive or a research project. And additional, all the data sets will connect to the Arbodat project in Pangea. If you don't know if your research project is in the list, for example, we use the BASA, so once the archive project, it is in the list from Pangea. When you don't know if it's in the list, you can go to Pangea, search for, let's see, archive project, and you see all the data sets from this project. And when we go to the project, here is once the archive, and this is the short name BASA. And this is what you can search here for. If your project is not in the Pangea research project list, then you can write a new one. So it's like test project, for example, and then you fill in the form. So test project, it's a German Science Foundation project, and we have a person who's the coordinator of the project, and it is very good when you can fill in the ORCID. That is something Pangea is working with to connect all the persons. And same thing for the institute. You can type in here the institute or add a new one to the list. Use the URL, your data, the comment, and if there is a grant number or something like this, you can add it here too. And then you can download this sheet. when you click the download button, then you can save this file in a folder and save it. If the research project is in the list, like with the Pangea, it is not necessary to export this form. In the next step, we like to add an Arbodat project. An Arbodat project is in Pangea an event. So I will show you. So this is Oldenburg-Straße. It's the data that we use as an example. You have the data series and with the project Arbodat and the project Lower Saxon Institute, which is our archive. And in this part you have an event. And all the data you see here is from the project part from Arbodat. At first, we need the label of the project. As I told you, the project we use here is NIAK. We can search here for the project too, NIAK. And we need a coordinate to show the site in this map here. So I will copy that now because it's much easier. And that's the looks about 4 meters. So the next one is that we need the method which were used to get the data. In the case of Arbodat-Pangaea-Export APE, it was excavation. So we use excavation here. And Oldenburg, Germany here as the location. When something is not in the list, you can write here and add it to the list. So, the next one is the EPSG code. You can see in the FAQ there's a part about the EPSG code, and in this case we need the EPSG code of the data that is written here, so the east and north coordinate, and there is a coordinate system mentioned here, but to specify it and make the explanation unique, we need the EPSG code. In this case, it's like this. So you need these two files, Projekt.xml and Grabungsjahr.xml. These are files from Arbodat. So at first we start with the Projekt.xml. This is what is inside of this part of the form, and it would be very good if you check these fields before you export them, because the data has to be as complete as possible. When you have the sidebar, you can go to the projector table, then you filter the project you like to export, and then you can go to external data and export it as XML file. And you save it to folder, and don't change the name, so it's project XML. And here you can use data only, not the schema of the data, but only the data. The next one is Grabungsjahre, and the names of the tables are in the English version, and the names of the tables are in the English version also. And the names of the tables are in the English. And the names of the tables are in the English version, German too. So same here. Choose the one you'd like to export. And export it as XML file. So this is the first step. Now you can upload the project XML and upload the Grabungsjahre XML. And then press the download button. And you can save it. When we take a look into the text file, you see that we have different columns with labels, and these are the labels for Pangea, and with the entries from our dataset. So this is the first step with the Arbodat project. In the next step we will deal with the datasets. So this is here. So at first we need the main data. It's the most important thing here. We need a title for our data series and for the datasets. This will be this part of the application for the dataset. And then we need the main institute, and in this case you can search for the institute. If the institute is not in the list, make it empty, erase everything, and then you can write a new institute. Here a new one. So then you have to choose a license. At the moment there's only CC 540 license, and what is very important is the summary. The summary is mandatory, so you have to write a small abstract. What is the data about, where it was generated, and so on. And in the end we need the authors. As I told before, please add the ORCID, and then we can add the author to a list, and the order of the list will be the order of the authors in the publication in the end, so in the beginning when there are if there's more than one author. And the first one in this list will be, by definition, the PI of all the single data sets. When you're finished, you can download the file and save it in the folder. The next one will be much easier, so we only have to export the XML files from Arbodat. So at first we use Befunde XML, so we go to Arbodat, go to the Befunde table, search for our project we like to export, and export all the features. And carbon cell was something we exported before. Now we can search for the fullness of the features and the years of excavation. It's possible that sometimes that takes some time until all the stuff is transformed and downloaded. And then save it. And then you can go on with all the other datasets in the same way. So the samples, we want to have the EPSG code or local, if you use a local system in the excavation. And there are coordinates x, y, z. And these are the coordinates where you have to look up the EPSG code. To export it, we can go to Home, search for our project, and export the stuff. Coordinates in this case, so I let it empty. And save the file. In this case, we have two buttons, not on donor but also process. That's because the files can be very large. Because details is in this result part down here. So we open the details. And when process was finished, without errors, we can download the stuff. And if there are informations about dating, so in this part here, with absolute dating, if there are records in it for only one sample, then you can search for your project here. In our case it isn't, but it's working the same. You mark everything and then you export it as XML file. So now we have Pangea stuff and Pangea Institute left. So we need, for all the persons you mentioned in main data, this list, and the coordinator of the research project, for all these persons we need information. So names, log, email, phone, URL, and the institute. So we can check if the people are in the Pangea dataset or not, and if not, we can add them. Same for the institute. When you have institute that were not in the list, so if the institute is not in this institute list here, then please make a list of all these institutes you mentioned and download this list and put it to the dataset. And there's also the possibility to update an existing dataset. So when you have changes on the information of an institute, like a new phone number or whatever, please write everything in the form and download this list. And the last one is the references. In this case, you can add references where or publications where this dataset was used, but only publication referring to the dataset. So not every publication you made on the subject that has something to do with the dataset, but only the publications where this dataset is explicitly used and mentioned. And when you have problems and there are errors and they are in this error log, download the error log, and when you ask for help, please send this file with your mail to us. You can, in the beginning, there is a link to our institute and the site of Arbodat-Pangaea-Export, and there are the email addresses and the contacts to the persons who are dealing with the APE and Arbodat. So when you have questions or when you want to handle your data, send all the files you export from APE to one of us.